All right. Okay. So now that we know how to hold the instrument properly, okay, and we're working on our lip strength techniques, okay, just keep building that slowly but surely. It will come naturally. We're going to actually think about notes on the chanter. Okay. Now, the chanter covers one octave plus one note. Okay. If you don't know music theory and you're not sure what that means, an octave is simply a series of 8 notes, okay, where notes 1 and 8 are effectively the same note, just 8 is a higher version of it, okay. In scientific terms, all that means is that the frequency of the note has doubled, okay. But fundamentally it's the same note, just a higher pitch. It's on a different register, it's called, okay. So, on the chanter, the very bottom note is G. It goes all the way up to high G, and then your extra note is A, okay? When it comes to actually naming notes on the chanter, there are no flats or sharps in bagpipe music at all. So, theoretically speaking, this means that every tune is in the key of C major. However, I'm not going to go into the technical details of why at the moment, but in terms of the actual tuning of the instrument, tuning a set of bagpipes to a different instrument is slightly different. You know, if I played concert C on a piano, it would be a completely different note on the bagpipes, okay? But we're not going to worry about that just yet. Just keep this within the focus of the bagpipe realm at the moment, okay? And don't worry about anything else. But, as I said, there are no flats or sharps, so you don't have to worry about different keys, different key signatures, anything like that. It's just a simple case of the note is exactly as it's written, okay? So you only ever have to worry about the note being F or G or, you know, E, whatever. In terms of naming the notes on the chanter stock, okay? Okay, the lowest note on the chanter with every single finger covering every single finger hole is low G, okay? As we move up the chanter stock, as you can well imagine, the note names ascend accordingly, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and then back to A again. That's your extra note at the top, okay? In terms of actually placing your fingers, okay, now you would think, logically, it's just a simple case of taking your fingers off as you go up, right? You would be correct in assuming that would be the logical step, and fundamentally, yeah, you could do that, okay? It doesn't make any difference to how the notes sound. But in terms of playing certain notes, because of many of the techniques that we're going to use in bagpipe music, okay, they're combinations of grace notes, which create that distinctive bagpipe sound, okay? You play notes in a particular way to facilitate playing those particular techniques better, okay? Now, I'm not going to go into those techniques just yet, but what I am going to do is I'm going to make sure that you understand exactly how to place your fingers for each individual note, okay? And once you master that, when it comes to actually playing these techniques, you realize, oh, right, that makes sense. Because, you know, you don't want to be in a position where all your fingers, apart from your thumb, are completely off the chanter stock, and then you have to play this complicated combination of notes, and you're like, you know. This is why that's been designed to do that, okay? That's the reason why. So, let's go through it. So starting at the very bottom of the scale is our low G, okay? That's all fingers covering all holes, okay? Sounds like this. Alright, that's G. Easy, okay? We move up to A, low A in this case. We just simply take our little finger off the bottom hole, okay? Simple. Same with B. You want to move to B, we just take our little finger and a ring finger off the bottom two holes. Easy peasy, right? C is our first black sheep in this one, okay? You would think, yeah, based on the previous two notes that we're just going to take our middle finger off, but no, we're not going to do that at all. Well, we are going to do that, but we're not going to do just that, okay? Whilst we're going to take our middle finger off that third hole at the bottom there, we're actually going to replace our little finger back on the very bottom hole, okay? So let's just go through that from B to C, okay? Now, I want to illustrate a point here, okay? By removing my little finger off the bottom hole, it makes absolutely no difference to the pitch of the note, except a very slight oscillation in the sound, but otherwise the pitch is exactly the same. But as I said, the reason why you finger the note in that particular way will come down to particular techniques that we're going to look at later on, okay? But just remember, from this point on, once you move from B to C, you're going to take your middle finger off there and you're going to put your little finger back down again, okay? And an easy way to remember it is, if I was to show you this and take these fingers and fold them back, it kind of makes a C shape, okay? Back to front, but nonetheless, you know, that's our C shape, okay? And another thing that I want to just illustrate here is that when you actually lift your fingers off, don't lift them too high. You know, you don't want to be in a position where you're playing like this, because a lot of times, you know, you're going to have a very quick transition from note to note. So you want to keep your fingers relatively close, not too close that they start to obscure the pitch. You know, but high enough to make a clear sound of the note above it, but not too far away so you can't quickly get your finger back there, right? So let's go through that again, from low G to C. Another thing that I also want to illustrate to you is always make sure that you have the holes straight in front of you, okay? Because if they're slightly twisted off to the side, you may not be getting the coverage that you think. You know, right? But what I would do is I would just practice moving from G up to C and make sure that you're always replacing your pinky back down again. Alright? Right? Just keep going through that. Now, the next wild card is D, okay? So we start from our C position, which looks like this. Remember, we've got these two fingers are off the fingerboard, our small finger is on the bottom hole, and this finger is covering the fourth hole down, okay? To move to D, what we're going to do is we're going to lift this finger simply off, but we're going to keep our little finger there, okay? So from C to D looks like this. Right? That's quite easy. Alright? But it gets even weirder when we move from D to E, okay? Again, for the reasons of when we come to look at the techniques that we're going to employ in many tunes that are repeated over and over and over again, which make it so formulaic it's not even funny, okay? There's an even weirder way to play E, okay? To play E, here's what we're going to do. Starting from our D position, which has all three fingers of the left hand plus the thumb still on the fingerboard and the little finger of the right hand on the bottom here, okay? We're going to do this. We're going to lift the ring finger of our left hand off the top here. But what we're going to do is we're going to replace the three primary fingers from our right hand back on the fingerboard and lift our small finger off, okay? Right? So let me go through that again. Here's us in our D position, okay? Three fingers on the right hand are off, but the small finger is on, plus all three fingers and the thumb of the left hand are back on the fingerboard. We're going to lift the ring finger of the left hand up. We're going to place all three primary fingers of the right hand back down on their respective finger holes and lift the little finger off, okay? That is E. Sounds like this. Right? Now, I recommend you just keep practicing that, okay? Make sure you get the fingering right. But another thing that you're going to want to be aware of in this crossover is you don't want to have this crossover sound where you're accidentally playing another note in between the two, okay? You want to just have a straight transition like this. You don't want to accidentally play C in the middle of that, okay? Or any other note in between, you know, you don't want to play low A. Okay, you want to make sure that in this case, this finger is coming off the fingerboard before these ones are placed down. Because if you don't, you're going to get that A sound. And it's the same if you're going back down from E to D. You know, you don't want to have anything else in between. So practice that and get that transition right. Okay. From this point onward, up the fingerboard. Okay, I'm going to call it. your right hand is going to stay exactly as it is from E upwards, okay? Right, so you don't need to worry about anything that's going on here. And all we need to do to move to F is simply to move our middle finger off on the left hand. And then the same with G, we're just going to keep our thumb on the back there. Okay? And the last note, high A, okay, we're going to take our thumb off, but we're going to replace the ring finger of our left hand back on the third hole again, okay? Alright? Okay, and again, that's kind of like the transition from D to E, where you don't want to have a crossover sound. Right, but always remembering that keep your fingers at, you know, a relatively short distance away from the finger hole, because you're going to find very quickly that they're going to want to come back down again, and you want to have them in position ready to strike. Okay. You know, just keep practicing it, just keep going through like that. Name the notes in your head as you go through it, okay? Memorize the name of the note in the finger position that you're in, okay? When you have those fingering positions mastered and you know exactly what the name of that note is, when it comes to actually reading the sheet music and you can see that that note's written there, it's going to make your life so much easier, okay? Just to recap, alright, here's what we're going to do. You're going to practice putting your fingers in the right place on the fingerboard. You're going to practice going through your note names, so G, A, B, C, okay, remembering your odd finger positions for certain notes. C looks like this. D, E, F, G, A, right? Just keep going back, up and down, remembering to be aware of how high your fingers are above the finger holes. Keeping your hands straight, not rigidly straight, you know, but comfortably straight. You're going to be placing the fatty part of your finger down on the finger hole and not the fingertip, okay? You want to have your hands at a right angle to the fingerboard. And you also want to be aware of any crossover sounds when you're moving fingers about, okay? You don't want to have any additional notes in there that you don't need, alright? So, practice on that. Once you have that down, then we'll start to look at the actual techniques that you're going to start to employ in bagpipe tunes. Alright.